welcome back to another week of sowing with me. That's what I'm sowing this week. Just a reminder that I am on the cusp of zones 8A and 8B, and that I have access to heated propagators for germination. I also have quite a lot of windowsills. I have a polytunnel, so I have the ability to start plants earlier than perhaps some of you might. If you're further north, so if your growing zone is colder, you might want to leave it a few weeks. If it is if you don't have the facilities that I do, i.e. heated propagators, electrically heated propagators, heat mats, polytunnels, things like that, again, you might want to leave it a couple of weeks. And this week we are growing peas. My first batch of peas. These are aldermans. As you can see, they're in water. They've been soaking for a couple of hours. Nothing immense. You can leave them overnight and they'll swell and split, and they're helpful. But I don't bother with that. Never really have, really. As long as you keep it damp and it's just been given a soak to really give it a good supercharge. When we put it in the soil, they're generally far away, no issues. Yeah, so no issues with those. Alderman is a climbing pea, very tall, gets to 6 or 7 feet tall. Better for podded peas rather than mange tout or petit pois. It's very much a full podded pea, and we eat them like sweets. They rarely make it home. They are normally eaten by me and the kids, literally like sweets. As we go around, we'll go to the plot, we'll pull half a dozen pods off and just eat them as we go. So we have alderman this week. We are planting some melon. I think it's a cantaloupe type. It's one called Emir F1. Again, melons, much like brassicas, all readily cross-pollinate. So I'm not so fussy about F1s for squashes of all types. So both melons and squash, because they're difficult to keep seed from and keep it true. It's quite difficult to grow melons in this country as it is, so anything that makes it harder, i.e. a slight variant, slight hybrid, I won't bother with. So I generally buy fresh seed every year for melons. We have some golden acre cabbage. It's quite an old packet. I grew these last year from this same packet. They were superb, real good, close, tight hearts. Loved them very much, so I'm going to plant some more this year. The start, sun golds, tomatoes. First of the tomatoes, barring the test batch I did, which ironically all of which have survived, but they'll probably be too leggy. I might shove them in the back garden and see if they survive the frost, but once they get too big. But they were not grown with the intent of actually being continued to fruition. But these are sun golds. One of the only tomatoes I like raw. So I absolutely adore these. Apologies if you can hear the cat meowing in the background. Bugger off. Go on. You've already had food. Go on. Then we have cucumbers. These are mini munch. Again, another F1. Again, I don't really bother to keep these. Fantastic. Kids love them. I mean, literally, they just pull them off. They get to that sort of size, almost sort of gherkin size. Kids snap them from eating, love them. These are Beth Alpha. They're about this. They're very similar. I wanted to get both of these just to give them a go, see which ones I preferred, which ones the kids preferred. Just to see. Yeah. So that's what I'm sowing this month. This week. I will start by. I think sowing some cabbage seeds. I'm going to prick these out because I'm waiting for more of these to come free. I should by next week be able to have potted on some of the smaller ones that are this week are only just at seed leaf stage. They should be up to true leaves, which tends to be when I pot on. So I'll pot some more of those on and free up some more of these ones. But in the meantime, I'm aiming to have about 12 plants out of this. I generally plant my cabbages in dozens. these aren't the spring cabbage. These are a slightly longer season cabbage, which is fine. You know, it's all about maintaining that continuity of supply. And we eat a lot of cabbage. One of our favourite things is just cabbage sweated down with some bacon lardons. Gorgeous. One of my all-time faves. And I can just eat that as it is with some fresh homemade bread. So that's those. I will put those to one side and label those separately, because those are pots. I actually put some red electrical tape on it, and then I write on the side what that is, rather than using traditional sticks. I'll show you what that looks like a little bit later. Now we will put, I think, all of the squashes and cucumbers, etc., the melon and cucumbers, into a single one of these, because we're ending small numbers, 4 of each. I'm starting these quite early, so what I will do in about another 4 to 6 weeks is I'll plant another batch of these, just in case the frost does get them as backups, and if it doesn't, it just means you've got that continuity of crop. So melons in first. These are the Emir. Big pot. A label in there so that I know that those ones are there. We'll then do mini munch. If I can find them, they appear to all be tucked away in the corner. Yeah. Looks like there is only 4, so I may need to buy another packet if I'm going to restart some of these later on. And then the Beth Alpha. Rather more in these. Yeah, there's a small misshapen one there that I'll discard. You only really want to be planting the best, most typical of each seed. Each seed type, it's a false economy just to plant a malformed seed and hope that something will come up. Typically those plants don't thrive and won't achieve to their best, and you'll have wasted space that could otherwise be. I mean, you saw that packet, it must have had 20-25 seeds in it for a couple of quid. Why would you take up a space for an entire season if you don't have to, by putting in sub-quality seed? Yeah. Just doesn't make any sense from my perspective. Okay. Now, we're going to do sun gold. These are very expensive. I'm sure if you've ever grown sun gold, you'll find out. These are an F1. Typically, I'm not a big fan of F1s, as I've said many times in the past. However, you can only get these as F1s, and they are my absolute favourite. So, I'm afraid I will have to put up with the fact that they are F1s. Sweetest tomato you'll ever eat. According to the pack, there are 10 in here. Lurking in the bottom of the pack. Tucked in a corner somewhere, yeah, we appear to have a couple. So it looks like I lucked out and I got 11. These number of providers can supply these seeds, and this one is from Just Seed. I simply went based on reviews because they had excellent reviews for their germination and success rate. So that's why I picked them. No other reason. Not sponsored. Don't get it for free. Don't get paid on anything like that. I'm far too small for that, and I wouldn't anyway. This is all about you just coming along with me and seeing the mistakes I make, because I will make plenty. That's that one. Next we will have peas. Because alderman is a tall pea, we don't really need very many to achieve a decent row. All I will do is, on these 12, I will put 2 seeds or 2 peas in each of these, and that will be enough for a 6 foot row. These are early peas, not for shoots. These are for eating, for podding, early season ones. I will do a much bigger batch later in the season, probably in another, I don't know, 8 weeks, something like that, early May, to get my main crop of peas, which are for canning and freezing, in theory, but in practice they never really make it home. These are more because I just like to snack on them as I'm walking around the allotment. And having some early ones just means that I get them that much earlier. They're pretty tough anyway, these aldermen. They'll cope with relatively cold conditions, so frosts and things. And these will be up in a couple of days. I mean, I'll put these on some heat, and they'll be up almost as soon as you look at them. And I have to put a label in them because I haven't written a label for these ones for some reason. So that's what I'm sowing this week. As we had some comments last week, I just thought I'd show you. This is one of the cayenne peppers, and this is what I said earlier. This is all I do is I take a piece of electrical tape, in this case red, because I happen to have some. I don't know what it is, but they're, these were potted on a week ago, and they're already now on a warm windowsill, turning into very, very nice little plants. These won't go into the polytunnel for at least another 8 weeks, and when they do go out, typically first week of March is when I put them out, they'll have bell coshes on them for at least another 4 weeks, just in case of any last frost, because they will absolutely get hammered otherwise if there's a late frost, and I don't really want to do that. But I thought I'd also show you a little success that I have had. I've always struggled with celeriac in terms of germination. Look at that. These are tiny, tiny seeds, so they do produce tiny, tiny plants. Look at that. That's one type of celeriac. That's monarch that I think we may have sowed that the week before last, and got some giant Prague here that I sowed the week before that again, and even the ones we sowed last week, which are asterix. You can just see that, see them starting to sprout. So I've had really fantastic success this year. I put that down to the fact that when I put them on the propagator, I deliberately put them in the propagator that is directly underneath the kitchen LED light. So I have some under counter lighting, as you can probably see, and I've left that on 24/7, and it's quite strong LEDs. So I've deliberately left it on, plugged in, so it's got bottom heat and it's got lots of light to kind of encourage that germination. And I'm really, really happy that I think I've now got the hang of germinating celeriac, and I just hope the celery works the same way. So that's it for me for this video. There will be one probably coming tomorrow or possibly Monday once I've finished editing it, which is the one that I promised last week, or suggested I do last week if the weather held up, but Hurricane Jorge, or Storm Jorge, more to the point, has put a crimp in the plans. But I have now done the video showing how to make possibly the quickest and easiest carrot and parsnip bed in the history of man, and I will put that up as a separate video as soon as it's finished editing. Other than that video, I will see you next week when I'm sowing some more things. I'll see you then. Bye.